Excellent. So let's kind of get right into the market. So I wanted to talk about real quick before we get into your trades of the day. I wanted to go ahead and do a quick recap on where we're trading currently. Equities continuing to push to new highs of day. Last trade in the ES was 59.79 half. Nasdaq trading around 21,000, just shy of 700. Um, Tilt is looking a little bit long right now in the ES, 65% long in the ES and 57% long in the NASDAQ, but we're just continuing to grind higher. Could be a zombie rally for the remainder of the day. We'll see what happens there. Gold is kind of trading in a little bit of a 5 minute range at the moment. Last trade 33.73 with a tilt of 65% long in the gold. And last but not least, crude oil trading kind of back around the previous high of the pre-market, kind of near 63.50s, and with a 60% tilt to the short side. So markets are definitely still moving. Will, you have already closed out a trade across your XFAs. You ended up hitting $1,500 across all five. Great day so far, man. Can you kind of walk us through maybe what you were looking at earlier this morning?
Oh yeah. Uh, Permits me to share my screen.
Oh, JD, what's up, man? You're back.
What's up? I made it. Sorry, little
Okay,
glitch in the matrix over here. I went to refresh something and everything just froze on me. So
all
we're all good
good.
now.
Sweet. Well, Will, we've got your charts up now.
All right, coming up.
Sweet.
Order filled.
Oh, well, we had him. 1 second. There we Okay, we're back to mine for now, but we'll get your charts back up here momentarily. JD, are you looking at anything right now, man? I know we're kind of just grinding higher. We're flat at the
Yep.
moment
You
in the
know, I
house,
was
up $300. What are
there
we
was
looking
a
for?
there was a trade there briefly. Didn't get in on it, but I was kind of thinking about taking a long position in the ES right off of weekly kickoff high 59.75. We were in between segments, so
Order
I was looking at
filled.
that price pretty closely. We were trading around it. Hogue talked about it during his recap too. Uh, Attempted to short off of that, sort of a opportunity.
Oh, I think we're losing JD again. Yeah, we lost JD again. Good old network issues today. All right. Well, then, Joswell, do we have Andrew, do we have his charts back? We do. Perfect. Okay. So we got your charts up, brother. Let's go ahead and run through. I know you primarily trade gold a lot, but what was your trade on this morning? What got you to that $1,500 across all five of your accounts today?
All right. So this morning I was trading. I took a trade on Nasdaq.
Awesome. Okay.
I took a trade on Nasdaq. If what's today again? So I keep forgetting what date it is. Okay,
It
it's
is
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So,
Yeah.
yesterday was Monday. I'm still stuck with my Italian time, so I'm trying to adapt. All right. So yesterday I took a trade. I did take that same trade on my practice account because I know I was going to come on air, and
Okay.
I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'm just going to switch to my practice account and show you where my entry was. So that was the
Awesome.
trade that I took.
Okay. So it was a long
And this
position, 21,000, like 460s.
Yeah, and this trade was
Nice.
also shared on my free Telegram account. So I know that there is a bunch of those guys who are on there. They're there. They're on this live right now, and they can see this. So I haven't touched nothing. I haven't moved the stop loss. I haven't done nothing. I only closed on my account because you have to secure profit. But
Yeah.
if for some reasons I should have let that trade continue to run, but I'm already up in too much profit on my XFA, so I don't have any good reason to be holding the position, so I just had to
Got it.
close.
No worries. Well, so it looks like you entered kind of over in the London session, or what time of day did you actually enter this trade?
I got in on this trade around 6 p.m. Californian time. If
Okay.
you pay
So it was in
attention
the
on my
evening. Yeah.
yeah, my account is always locked. For example, my account is going to open again at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Californian time. It's always
So
locked. I
locked
trade
out.
6 p.m. Yep, I trade 6 p.m., 10 p.m., and 8 a.m. I trade just those times. If even if the market is moving, I'm not trading. I only trade on those
Okay.
three times: those 6 p.m., 10 p.m., and 8 a.m. Or if I catch a
Okay.
good move around 6 p.m., I'm done for the day. If not, I lock up and I open again at 10 p.m. If I don't see nothing, I lock up and I open again at 8 a.m. So that's what I
Okay.
do.
Nice. So you have very specific times of day that you're entering, and aside from that, I mean, that's pretty good discipline, man. I know that there's a lot of traders, myself included, that find themselves tempted to trade when maybe you're bored or you just don't have a lot going on and you're looking at the charts all day. I think it's very tempting to continue to participate, but you have very strict rules for when you enter the markets. What's your favorite time to trade out of those three times? What's your kind of go to or your preferred time, even though you have three choices or three
Order
specific
filled.
time frames?
I think it depends on the mood. Depends on the mood.
Okay.
Uh, Sometimes if I want calm, like no rush, just slow market, I trade from 6 p.m. And then if I want a little bit of rush, I trade around 10 p.m. And if I want like quick trade, I just wait for 8 a.m.
And is that going to be your local time? Because I know you're out on the West Coast. Is that your local time or is that
Oh, this is currently these times are currently Californian time.
okay?
But in
Got it.
my local time, for example, I'm just gonna pull that up. So I trade 7 a.m. Italian time, and then again I trade 5 p.m., 5, 6 p.m. Italian time, and then I trade 2 a.m. Italian time.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. Well, JD, you're
Yeah.
back. I don't know what's going on with your internet, man, but well, hopefully we don't lose
Made it
you
again.
again.
Yeah, I know, right? One more time and I quit. I'm joking. I would never quit. But I'm sorry I missed a chunk of what you were talking about, Joswell. But it's wonderful to meet you just as well.
Nice
We've
to
had
meet
your
you.
name on our P&Ls list, our payouts list. Taking payouts, you're making money.
Yeah.
Yeah, great to have you on. Great to have a little FaceTime with you. This is awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, JD, I know you had something you wanted to kind of talk to Joswell about. He's been killing it in the XFA, and I want to kind of go back to what we were looking to talk to him about, and that is being called up to live at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Joswell, have you been called up to live before with us here at Top Step?
Oh yeah, I was live. I traded live account for I think 3 months plus or somewhere around there. It
Okay.
was great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that live accounts are a little bit of a different experience than express funded accounts, but it seems like you found your groove or you found confidence no matter what stage of the journey that you're in, whether you're in the combine working your way back to express or whether you're in express and getting called up to live. I think you're definitely one of the more consistent traders that we've seen across our performance of all of our traders. What's one of the what do you think is one of the biggest things about your trading that has allowed you to develop such consistency? Is it your risk management? Is it just your ability to execute your process and your edge? Like, what do you account all that consistency to in your journey?
Uh yeah. When I was first sent to life, uh I mean, I think what really started this was sorry to mention, but I some years ago, I think somewhere around last year, 2023, 2024, I was
Yeah,
trading a 200K FTMO account. I just passed the account and I received an email saying that I couldn't risk more than 1% of the account. I
right,
was like, wow. So 1% would have been $2,000 on the 200K account. So what I had to do was stick to two contract, two lot size, and I was only risking 1,900 because let's say there was a slippage. So I
right,
traded that account
Mm-hmm.
for some months, and that kind of helped me realize that you can have a set risk. I was able to adjust my system to be able to reach that amount and still catch the move that I usually want to catch. So when I went on the Top Step Live and I was capped at $3,000 daily loss, I was like, man, because on the XFA I was a little bit more generous with my stop loss.
right,
So what I did was I was like, okay, I'm going to keep the same. I'm going to keep that risk, $3,000, but I'm going to consistently trade my system. I'm going to focus in on trading well. So I just focus on trading well, executing my system, taking my setups. and just focus on trading well, no matter what the outcome is. And if you look at the analysis on my Excel on my live account, I took the same trades, almost the same contract every single day. The day I was hitting my stop lose, I was hitting my stop lose because I mean, with $3,000 stop lose, all I had to do was getting on my trade, wait for an entry, getting on my trade, put my stop lose. There was really not much to to work with, But I just look for my entry, get in, and just let the trade play out. And something else that really helps me is I already know that I only got $3,000 to risk. But one thing that helps me was I always let my trade play out, no matter what. So even if I'm up $10,000, I'm not really concerned about the money. I'm more concerned about my setup. My setup needs to play out. Sometimes some of my students are like, "Hey, bro, you're up 20 grand. Why don't you close?" I'm like, because the setup still has to complete. So I keep holding for my setup to play out, and I think this is what makes the difference. Uh, so even if I got $3,000 to risk every day, I've got $3,000 to risk, but every day I've got my setup to catch, and catching that setup, letting that thing play out, is what makes the difference. So
Order
holding
filled.
that trade till TP gets hit is what makes the difference. So if day one, for example, I'm risking $3,000 and I hit 50K or 20K, and day two I hit 3K, do the maths. How many days do I need to lose my 20K? And it's not possible for me to lose 3K till I go out, of my 20K. So before maybe the next day gets bad, I'm just going to risk 3K. If it goes good, I'm up again. So I think the main point is letting my trades play out, just focusing on trading good, you know, that's what really helped me.
Yeah, focus more on the process and less on the outcome, because statistically you've
Mhm.
seen yourself be able to consistently, with patience and with discipline, be able to achieve the statistics and consistency that you've achieved. I noticed that your average duration in a trade, it tends to be pretty much over an hour, potentially 2 hours a day, sometimes a lot longer. Um, what's helped you develop that patience? Because I think that a lot of traders struggle with, once they start seeing profits on the table, they want to take those profits off the table quickly for the sake of potentially losing them. And being patient and seeing your full take profit getting achieved, I think that takes a lot of practice. What's helped you develop that patience in your opinion?
Excellent question.
Yeah.
It's tough,
uh,
right? I'm sure that it wasn't
yeah, it's
Mhm.
tough.
instantaneous. Like, I'm sure it took you
It-
time to develop that patience.
yeah, it's tough. For example, as I was saying before, it's all about the setup. So, for example, in the market, we have support, resistance. And when I buy at a support, I'm holding that trade until I get to resistance. And when we get to that resistance, if it breaks, I'm holding for the next resistance. So as long as we're still heading to that resistance, which is my setup, I'm still holding that trade. And then something else that helps me is when I see a good day, when I see a good setup, I know, okay, this setup is going to play out. I just get in, have my stop loss, and just let that thing play out. And if you look at other days, I just come in, make 1,000, maybe 2,000, 1,500 like today, and just walk away. So some days you have to understand as a trader that some days you're just going to make maybe a small amount of money or maybe not trade at all. And some days you're going to have a good setup. On the days that I have a good setup, I just get in, I focus on the setup. I focus on achieving that setup rather than the money. And for me, one thing that really brings me joy is getting that setup. When I see my setup play out, I'm more interested in that. I'm happy about that. One of my students usually tells me, "Hey, bro, that's a lot of money." And I'm like, "Yeah, but we still have to fill that gap." And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm like, "No, just forget about the money. Look at that gap. We still have to fill that gap." So I think as traders, we have to focus more on we have to find an edge. And you have to, when you get in a trade, you have to see where this trade could potentially go. And you have to
Mhm.
let that trade play out. Let it play out. And that's something I do. I just let the trade play out.
And so do
Can
do
we
you
talk
tend
about
to go ahead, JD?
I was gonna say, can we talk about trade management for just a minute? I'm looking at your trade report right now, Joswell. Back on May 13th, you took a
Yep.
single trade and held it for 13 and a half hours for a $22,000 profit. One trade, 13 and a half hours. What was it like managing a trade like that? Obviously you're not sitting at your desk for almost 14 hours. Are you trailing stop? Uh are you going for a walk? Are you going to work? What are you doing during that 13-hour duration? What does that look like?
So on that day, I was just up. I was just up and about. I got on that trade, put my stop. I think I went where I went out, went for a walk. I just went about my day. Just did everything I need to
Mhm.
do by my during that day. Didn't do nothing. Just let the trade run.
Did you
Just
ever
let it
move
run.
your stop loss? Are you typically reducing or removing risk from your trades
No,
once they play? You just let it go. It's either going to hit my stop or
no,
it's going to hit my target. That's it.
I didn't move my. I don't move my stops. You see that they hit my
Okay.
target or they come back. Sometimes I be in profit. I mean, I understand. Some people like there was one time I posted on my X. I was up 20 grand on my life account as at that time, and then it came back and hit my 3K stop loss, and I kind of posted it. And there was a guy saying, "Why would you lose 20K? And why would you let 20K go and lose 3K? That's bad risk management." And I'm like, no, that's not bad. I was letting my trade play out. That's not bad risk management. I'm letting my trade play out. I'm
Mhm.
satisfied when my trade plays out. If that market comes back and hit my stop loss, no problems. At least I let it play out. Now imagine moving my stop. Sometimes you move your stop to break even, the market comes back, takes you out, and goes your way. It's nothing more frustrating than that.
Couldn't agree more. Man, going from a huge update to club DL, I shouldn't say club DLL, but hitting that DLL was something we talked about quite a bit when we used to do the shoulder tap. Mick would come on and bring up traders that learn these lessons the hard way also. But as far as I can tell, looking at this trade report, you don't have too many huge down days. Well, there was the one. There was the one. Let's not discount the one. But I mean, you had another $42,000 winning day after being down quite a bit. You fought your way back.
Let's talk
Only four
about that.
trades that day. Let's
Yeah,
talk about that. Yeah, how do you
I
go
would love to
from
talk about
Yeah.
the 26th of May,
Oh
that
yeah.
$38,000 losing day. What kind of went what was going through your
Yeah.
head that day or what actually took place that day?
Yeah. Crazy day, right? Crazy day. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open that trade history. So this is what happened on that day. So on this day, we saw I saw good setup on Nasdaq, great setup on gold. You know, hold up, just 1 minute. Yeah. Anyways, that didn't come out right. But anyways, yeah. On this day, I saw a good setup on Nasdaq and a good setup on gold too. You know, so I took the trade on Nasdaq and I got my stop loss hits, and then I went to gold because sometimes Nasdaq is more moves better. So I'm like, okay, let me trade Nasdaq today. So I tried a few times and it didn't go really good. So I'm like, all right. So I switched to gold, and then I saw that gold had just
Order
broken the
filled.
support. So came that broke the support, came back up. So I saw that trade, and then I got in on the trade. But what happens is that price kept coming back to hit my stop loss. Kept happening and kept happening and kept happening. And I'm like, this has to play out. This is going to happen. So I kept going in and kept going back in and going back in until I didn't realize that I was down 38 grand. I was like, whoa, you know, I wasn't looking. I was just trying to catch that move. So every time I was getting in that move, I was getting hit. And then I was setting my alert again, getting back in. I was getting hit again, setting my alert, getting back in, and I was getting hit again. So at some point, I'm like, okay, I have to lock myself out. So I locked myself out of the account for that day. And I'm like, man, if this drops while my account is locked out, it's going to be very painful. But I realized that capital preservation is very important. I can come back the next day and I can recover. But if I blow my account trying to catch this
Mhm.
move today, Tomorrow I'm just gonna, you know, broke, cannot trade anymore. So I locked my
Right.
account out and I left. And then the next day at 6 p.m., I went back in the market, I checked, and guess what? Good was ready to drop. So I dropped it. So I took it on gold. So first of all, I went in on Nasdaq. Same thing happened. So I saw that gold trade that
Order
was about to
filled.
drop. So I took it and I went in with the 15 contracts, set my stop loss, and I went about my day. And it happened.
And played out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like the fact that you hit a point of realization on the day where you were red, where you said, okay, what I'm looking for the market to do, it's not happening. And I've sacrificed. I mean, you were up about 70K from the first 2 weeks of those accounts. So, you were basically down a little bit more than half of your realized
Oh yeah.
profits from the start of those
Yeah.
accounts.
Order filled.
And for some people, obviously that's a pretty big number, right? That
Yep.
losing more than half of your account, 38 grand, that's somebody's yearly salary that you just lost in a day. That's a that's a big that has a big psychological impact on traders a lot of the times. But you were able to say, okay, it's not working today. Let me go ahead and lock out and we'll come back tomorrow. I survived to trade another day and you came back, you saw your edge, you entered, and then you just let it play out. And you ended up making that back and then some on top of that. So, for some people, I think that might not have been good risk management, losing half of your balance in a single day. But I think it depends on the trader because you've seen yourself be able to bounce back from those days plenty of times. And you're okay
Order
with sticking to
filled.
15 lots. There's a lot of traders that wouldn't be able to manage 15 contracts. That's a big position
Yeah.
size. But you've been able to
Yeah.
build that kind of that callus, right? You've been able to deal with or manage your emotions or the psychology of trading 15 contracts because that is a lot of size. I've never
Yeah.
Hmm.
traded 15
And,
contracts in a single trade, but those are some big floating numbers.
and then something else I want to say. Uh, when you say $38,000 lows, one thing I want to say to people who say that, like, how could you take a 38,000 lows? I also want to point out that there is a 42,000 day, there is a 44,000 day. So it's like if you made $1,000 today and you lose $800 tomorrow, just
Hmm.
the only difference is that the numbers are big. But you also have to
Right.
realize that I have a 42K day, I
Order
have a
filled.
44K day. Uh, so you should know
Is
that
it?
my risk should measure up with my profit because if I'm making big profit, I should be making big losses. Just that my losses are not bigger than my profit if you wait. So if you wanted to bring this down to a normal trade, it would be like $800 lose and a $1,000 lose. Just that this is big numbers. So that
Yeah.
this is just the difference.
Larger scale.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Same concept. Yeah. You're definitely your
Is
biggest
that
loser
a?
should definitely not exceed your biggest winning day. That's even something that
Yep.
MP, Michael had mentioned in one of his previous times on air of, my biggest loser did not exceed my biggest winning day. If you're not hitting those big
Yeah.
winning days, like if you weren't a trader that was getting $23 or
Order
$23,000 days,
filled.
$42,000 days, there's no way in hell that you should be risking or having a
Exactly.
$38,000 losing day. But you're right. It's
Hmm.
just a matter
Exactly.
of the scale, right?
Yeah.
Just
Is that
multiplied.
$44,000 winning day? Was that your best day? Did your best day come after your worst day? That's kind of the opposite
Yeah.
of how it usually happens.
Exactly.
Typically, a trader will have their best day ever, and they'll have their worst day ever. It's kind of flip. You
Yeah.
flip the scales on this one. So went from down
Yeah.
38 to up 44. Was there any change in mindset going into the next day? Did you come out thinking I need to make this money back, or did you just
Nah.
let the system play out
Nah.
again?
Yeah. There
Yeah.
was there was no change in mindset. I go to the market every day with a fresh mind. All right, let's look for that setup. Let's get in, stop loss, and let it play out. I just always go to
Hmm.
the market with the same mindset every single day. So even if yesterday was red, today I wake up, open the trade, the same thing. I just have to look for my setup, get in the trade, and just trade.
I love it.
Yeah, that's the way
Yeah.
to do it.
Let, Let's briefly take a look at the markets real quick, and then I would love to talk a little bit about maybe what you're seeing in the markets currently, and if there. I know you're locked out for the day already, but kind of maybe what you're looking for further into this week. Obviously, we have a few more days left of the week. Lots of data coming out, Wednesday through Friday. But before we get to that, let's really quick recap where we're trading currently. Looks like the equities are continuing to kind of slowly grind higher, seeing a little bit of slowdown, topping out right now at about 59.84 last trade in the ES. Tilts 55% long in the ES. NASDAQ last trade 21,734. 50-50 split on the tilt there. Gold and crude oil are currently trying to bounce a little bit off their recent lows. Last trade in gold is 33.72, and crude oil last trade is 63.53. JD, are you seeing anything right now? If we're looking to potentially just grind higher for the rest of the day, are there any opportunities that you'd be looking for in a pullback, maybe to get long in the
I
house?
mean, I mean, it's a melt up right now. You just got to buy every dip and kind of hold on. Uh, what's the risk strategy? You know where your long trade is going to be invalidated at. It's just how much risk are you willing to take? And I know how tough it is buying new highs. It's not one of my favorite things to do either. But
Yeah,
at this point, I think you just got to do it until the market proves otherwise. We're just going to keep grinding higher. We are trending. Uh, what's the old adage? Never short a quiet market. Kind of proving that in the ES right now.
absolutely.
So where do you get in?
Order filled.
Where do you get in? Joswell, do you see any opportunities to get into the market at these types of prices, or are you pretty much hands off? I know you're locked out already, so I know you won't be trading anymore, kind of just watching the markets grind higher. But if you weren't in a trade and you had the ability to place a position, are there any possible entry models that you could see, or what would you be looking for to get into a trade at this point? Um, Kind of knowing where we're at right now.
All right. I think something interesting is happening on gold. So I'm
Gold.
just gonna
Take a
pop
look.
up my gold chart.